This is a very interesting topic. I think I just called both Tita and Sanjay as villains in my life when I was asked to actually speak this particular thing. Unattainable HbA1c goals, who, what takes the blame? And Nita said, no, 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 I think you try to do justice. Uh, let's see how this goes. And some of you may be bored and some of you may find it a little amusing. Some of you may find it informative. So let's see how it goes. Okay, let's start with the definition of health from the WHO. It basically talks about complete physical, mental, and social well-being. A part of it was actually discussed by Dr. Shaker, okay? So we don't have to go into the further definition. So basically it's physical, mental, and social. And trust me, this definition has not been amended since 1948 because nobody really knows what else to change in this definition. Now, what is physical health and what is physical well-being is kind of described here. I mean, you can find it in any of the books. An important thing that is also listed is a very responsible sexual behavior. I think that is necessary as far as India is concerned because we keep reading about a lot of things which is against this particular thing in the papers. Now, what is mental health? Mental health refers to people's cognitive and emotional well-being. Again, several description of how exactly you can define a mental health, but for most of us, we do agree that mental health refers to absence of mental illness, okay? If somebody is laughing too much, then we don't know whether that falls into the mental health, absence of mental health or within the mental health. Okay. Now, social well-being. This is very interesting. I mean, as long as you're able to mix with your friends and socially, and Shekhar did talk about this social well-being as well when it was aging. So, if you're very sociable, if you're mixing up with people, and if you're liked by others and you like others, you're supposed to live longer. I think that's one thing that we can do. As your practice keeps coming down, I think you can become more sociable, and that's one way of increasing the age. And on the left, the cartoon talks about the social well-being, you know, how people should be together. On the right side, this is the scene that we see today in the colleges with the youngsters. Well, the social well-being means a little different to these kids nowadays because these are the types of conversations that go on there. And when I showed these slides to Dr. JJ, he also gave me another slide. And Arvind, he said, you please put up this slide also. This is also social well-being in the present generation. I mean, I don't know, we never really followed this. Okay, now we come back to the science part of it. We had enough of fun. Simple question to all of you. I mean, can a normal HbA1c bring about physical well-being, mental well-being, social well-being? Okay, now I come back to this. I mean, how many of you think a normal HbA1c can bring about good health? Those who are for it, please raise your hands. Okay, the standard textbook description is no. Because it's a biochemical value, if you hit the biochemical value to its target and achieve a biochemical target, it is not going to influence your health at all. So if the answer is a clear no, then the question is, why are we chasing a biochemical value? All of us have to ask this question, why are we wasting our time? If this is not going to give back health, why are we chasing a biological value? That's happening because we are being dumped with so much of data from the clinical trials. We are made to believe that we have to follow evidence-based medicine only, and therefore there are targets set. Today also, I think Dr. Vivian was saying that every doctor needs a target because when ADA took away the LDL target, they were not very happy. So there are trials like DCCT, EDIC in type 1, lot of things about long-term follow-up, legacy effect has been dumped on us, how we have to control sugars and what happens to macrovascular complication. There are trials with type 2 diabetes talking about the same thing. And then there is this legacy effect, again the UK PDS study, and from VADT, impact of bad glycemic legacy. All this has been dumped on us. So we are made to believe that only if you can achieve a good HbA1c right at the beginning and throughout the lifespan of that patient, we are going to give him good health. And consistently over a period of time, the same thing has been told to us. So it has become a habit for us to now accept it because the same thing is being told. Let's look at the Steno people. Steno 2 trial. I did talk about revisiting the Steno 2, but I'll not go into the details. I mean, they did everything right. Control HbA1c, blood glucose, this, lifestyle. Every single thing was to the target, and the cardiovascular diseases reduction was only 53. Now, what happens to the remaining 47%? And coolly, everybody says, oh, that is called as a residual risk. You did not hit the residual risk, and therefore these people died. But still, HbA1c is the most important thing. If you are a diabetologist, you must target your HbA1c below 7. ADA 2018 also tells us. Only thing they tell us is, okay, individualize the treatment. Somebody very old, then probably you can step it up. RSSDI, again tell the same thing, guidelines. Keep HbA1c less than 7. You look at all other groups, whether it is ACE, IDF, ACP recently, everybody is talking about some target for HbA1c. And trust me, each group has experts, and their point of view is based on scientific data. It is not that they are just giving us a value. They have a valid reason as to why they are setting up that particular target. Now the problem for me, JJ, Shekhar, and all the people on the podium here, what do I do as a physician? Whether I should stick to these targets? So let's look at the current status in DIAB study. Average HbA1c 9.2 in India. Only in some pockets, some hospitals, it may be good. There are other studies from Ranjit Unnikrishnan, again, Anjana Mohan side, different cities, different states out of target. It's estimated that less than 20% have a HbA1c which is under 8 in India. Even that I don't believe, but that's the data. So there are some questions that comes to us. Are HbA1c targets realistic? Now let's ask this question. Now the answer is yes, because solid support of data is there to say that if you can keep it below this, probably you get the benefits. And who has said it? Not Tom, Dick and Harry, the experts. They have sat down and told us that this is where you have to keep the HbA1c. Now my second question is going to be, are targets unrealistic? Now surprisingly, answer to this is also yes. Answer was yes to the first question. Answer to the second is also yes, only because I cannot achieve a HbA1c target of less than 7 in all my patients. So I think that, okay, these targets are unrealistic. This is my stand today. I can't, maybe in about 10-15% of my patients, I can get it at 7. Zargar can probably get it at 25% of the patients. So I think it's unrealistic because I cannot achieve it in all my patients. And also my colleagues, JJ also cannot, Shekhar also cannot do. So therefore the answer to this becomes yes. And Sanjay Reddy also. Now let's ponder over the reasons. Why are all these things happen? The meaning of the word ponder is to think about carefully. Dr. Zargar, the meaning of the word ponder is to think about carefully and to take action. Well, there is clinical inertia. I'm not going to go into the details of clinical inertia and talk about clinical inertia. I mean, there are several causes of clinical inertia, and there are different types of clinical inertia. You can say physician factors, we can talk about patient factors, and we can say office system factors. I don't have a support system. So therefore, I cannot achieve the target. So there are a number of these things which can talk about clinical inertia. And then there are a number of points also in the checklist. What are the problems with a physician? What is the problem with a patient? What is the problem with an office system factor, etc., etc. Now you have to have an ECRF, you have to have this, you have to have that. Then you need a much bigger office to run your clinical practice. So let's not go over the checklist here, but we know and we understand that these problems exist. So let's only look at ourselves. There's one set of doctors who is not updating the knowledge, and then we are always saying that, okay, my patient is unaffordable, reluctant, and for the fear of losing a patient, then we will accept whatever the patients want, send him off. And there are a number of reasons that we end up giving. So what is the solution for all this? And experts have also given the solutions to the doctor. Look, you initiate, set clinical goals, take EBM support, initiate appropriate treatment, again EBM support, evaluate to reach goal, have a proper systems management. You do a self-audit of your own performance, come out with research papers. That will probably improve your practice, so your inertia may go away. I mean, all these are there in the books. And now there are patient factors, silent disease, impact of complications never felt. So we start blaming the patient all the time. HbA1c more, no, this patient is not listening to me. There are hundreds of reasons. So chronic disease management needs a team of experts, and that is one thing that we have realized. The second thing is the psychological and psychosocial care that we need to give it to our patient is on an increase, because chronic disease, NCD management, chronic disease management is lifelong. So it's not easy for any patient to live with a disease process. In fact, when we run workshop, I just tell my nursing staff, for 3 days, you will take injections 3 times a day, self-monitoring of blood glucose 3 times a day. Just do it for 3 days and come back. 80% of them cannot follow this. And then I tell them, look, you want to be a nurse educator, you want to be a good nurse in a diabetic hospital, you can't do it. So with our PGs, the simple thing we do is an IV insulin drip. First experience what hypoglycemia is. If you have to teach hypoglycemia to your patient, you have to experience it. Now all of them become careful later. So this is something that we have to now provide to our patients. And this is the kind of the teamwork that we need. We need dietitians. We need doctors and experts in the major hospitals. We need nurse educators, exercise therapists, case managers. Okay, when I showed this slide, JJ only kept the case manager. I know, you only kept the case manager. Okay, you can keep the dietitian and the case, this one, and some of the ladies can keep the nurse educator here. Okay, there's no problem, you can do that. But this is the kind of a team that we need. Now, if you want to give comprehensive diabetes care, it's become very, very demanding, and this is the complete care that you have to give. Now, one way of improving our own practice is to increase the infrastructure base. Now, repeatedly it has been told that if you can increase your infrastructure base, your career levels are going to increase. But that comes with a cost, that comes with money, that comes with a lot of time, effort, etc. And of course, you need a change of attitude, skill, and knowledge. If all can put together, probably you have a good comprehensive care. That's about the science part of it. Now, let's say you have done all this, and still your patients are not under good control. Now, the philosophical thing. Now, I think we have to ask a question. Who am I? Where have I come from? And where do I go from here? Well, we can debate with this for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Let's simply remember there is a mind, there is a body, there is a soul. The mind is full of different types of emotions and reactions. There is anger, hunger, desires for maybe power, position, status. There is happiness, there is sadness. And mind is just your thought process. It's not an organ sitting somewhere. It's not an organ that one can photograph. And we have to realize the patient also has a mind, which is nothing but a thought process. Think positively, that's your mind. Think negatively, that's your mind. And everybody tries to blame the mind and say, oh, I could not resist this because my mind wanted it. No, the mind is just your thought process. If you learn to control the thought process, your mind behaves the way you want it to behave. And then, of course, you have your body set by the biorhythm, never adjust to you. It says, if you take care of me, I am your vehicle. I'm going to be with you. If you don't take care of me, I'm not going to be with you. And the soul is, of course, that's a real you and not you, what you think you are. So this is the base from which we need to start. Now, your role as a physician is try to control all the controllables to achieve the best HbA1c. Never be ignorant and definitely don't be arrogant. Body and mind has a biorhythm which is changing. Knowledge do not translate to targets. Now, most of my colleagues, they say, oh no, we have a fantastic education system to our patients. We teach them all about diabetes and we have given them the knowledge. Even if there is a PhD professor, head of the department from Indian Institute of Science, even though he has the knowledge that somebody is going to die, when somebody close to him dies, he cries. That's an emotion of the mind. Okay, if the knowledge were to translate, one can say, okay, I will not cry, I know somebody is going to die someday because Dr. Sheshar said that, okay, you're going to die. So, if somebody thinks that knowledge is going to translate to targets, it's not going to happen. The change of attitude can to some extent. Even intelligence cannot change the mind. The best of medicines certainly do not change attitude or behavior. Chasing targets is a never-ending game. What is it that I have to learn is now the question. Please remember, you are already wired the day you are born. You didn't even get a chance to choose your parents. You didn't get a chance to choose your sex. You didn't get a chance to choose where you want to be born and what you want to be. You are already wired. You are just walking in that path. And there's a big drama that is going on. And we are all actors in this beautiful drama, trying to unnecessarily achieve targets which we may or may not. So purely there is a karma theory which we have to accept. It's like a boomerang, what you send out is what you get back. So we come back. Unattainable HbA1c goal, who and what takes the blame? Well, you can blame a doctor's inertia if it doesn't happen, or you can blame yourself, or you can blame your patients and say, my patient is not following. Or you can say, I don't have the infrastructure that is necessary to run a successful diabetes clinic. Or you can blame the karma of the patient. So you can take your pick if you can't achieve the HbA1c. I mean, you have all the four of you in front of it. Okay. Now, this is my going to be my last slide. And I was fortunate enough to have dinner with Dr. Sidney Brenner. He's a Nobel laureate 2002. He discovered the mRNA. He's 91, still works in Singapore, 8 to 10 hours. Right now, he is working on genome sequencing. And we had dinner casually talking to him. I just asked one question. Sir, do you ever think there is going to be a cure for a chronic disease like diabetes, or at least for cancer? One simple smile comes close to my ears, whispers and says, if the pharma wants, we can give it. They don't want it. He didn't say anything after that. So have a patient-centered approach. A good physician treats the disease. A great physician treats the patient who has the disease. And this is what I have just followed. I just moved on in life. Thank you very much. And those of you interested, we have the ADA PAMS coming up. So please block the dates. Please come to Bangalore. Wonderful hospitality. Dr. Sanjay Reddy is here. He is going to be the joint organizing secretary, and then we'll have a wonderful time. Thank you very much.